So like I was saying, with their actions and just observing people, right? I feel like that comes with a different kind of skill set, maybe. Like not everybody is willing to observe other people, and they kind of just have their vision, and they're just almost like a tunnel vision, and they're kind of just minding their own business
Factual.
on a day to day, right? But
Factual.
Yeah.
it's kind of like one of those that inspirational thing that you were talking about. I thought that was really interesting. That was a great question by Victor.
Yeah.
He asked you last night about that, and
Yeah.
I think that was a great question. And your answers, I don't know if you heard me, but when you said pain, I just like thought it was a dancer, so I was like, oh, like oh, Travis Payne. And then
Time out. For the public.
No.
What was the question for the public? What was the question?
the question was from Victor. Last night, we actually just had experience last night with Marlee Hightower,
Marlee Hightower in the
our
house.
special guest. By the way, it's episode 4. You kind of just caught us in mid conversation, but we were having a great conversation before then.
Yeah, the vibes
But
were rolling.
yeah, so the question was last night during the workshop we had a Q&A, and the question was what is the top 3 like inspirational things
Yeah.
to you? And
Yeah.
you said pain. All right, that was the first one. That was really good because again,
Yeah.
I thought it was a person, and then you
Right.
would go through it. And then
Nah.
the second one is what we were talking about. The second question was,
I said the human experience really inspires me.
yeah,
And just being able to people watch and also just, see how, in what ways we are similar, in what ways we are different, but we're all like collectively having, the same experience. And so that heavily inspires me. Oh,
boom.
no pun
No pun
intended.
Nice.
That's
So, yeah.
crazy dope. That's
Mhm.
crazy dope. That ties into the whole quarantine thing that we were talking about.
For sure. Yeah. I think,
Learning a
like-
new skill right there.
Yep. Learn it. I mean, yeah. I think like the reason that I said that and why it's such a big inspiration for me is because I think, like you were saying before the podcast started, like we can get really caught up in just ourselves. But when we zoom out and we recognize how in what ways we are so similar, and how we as human beings like experience very similar feelings that feel so nuanced and personalized to us, but then you watch a movie or you hear a song or you see an art piece and you're like, oh, okay, sick, we're all one. That's really inspiring to
That's
me.
dope. I think that's how everybody feels about Avatar on Netflix right now.
Right.
Everybody's like, yo,
I'm like, one interesting thing you did say though was, and this is coming from you, so I probably I can't quote it exactly, but you said something about like we're all made perfect, or in that
Yeah,
sense.
I said because we're humans, we're flawed, like inevitably, like we are so fallible, but we're also perfectly made. Like we're all individually made perfectly. Like there's no wrong. Because I've
Yeah.
been like, getting into spirituality and stuff like that, and spirituality is just what involves my spirit. Like it doesn't have to be this like up in the air type of concept, like but even like some of the books I've been reading, like, and the things I've been thinking about was just as I grow, it's been more about stripping away and unlearning and getting to the root of who I am and what I am, which is I am perfectly made, and things like darkness or doubt or fear, those are just like illusions. So yeah.
Wow.
That's deep. That's a dope one.
They're kind of like, I was reading into this thing that I knew I always kind of had, but I didn't really like have a term for it. And I guess it's a real thing. It's called emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And I was reading
So
on it, and I'm
important.
like, yeah. And I'm like, wow, I already am like about that, right? And I'm so in touch with it, when I have the other people, friends and all, and I try to help them in that side all the time, because I noticed that at a very early age, I already like was in touch with that. I accepted it. I was able to go through the motions of, feeling a lot, I guess. And I noticed that with yourself too, and it goes into like the choreography, and then it makes you so genuine, and you're not even really I mean, you're trying because you're putting your stuff, your emotions, your soul into the choreography, but it's almost kind of like more natural because that's just how you feel, you know, and you found the way to be able to channel that
Yeah.
extensively, so everybody can see it, appreciate it, and it's cool to see it in a different form
Yeah.
instead of just internally,
Right. Yeah. I think like that's been such a big thing for me. Like I feel the most proud of the work I do art wise. Like
Yeah.
not only just dancing, but any art form. I feel the most proud of it when I'm just being honest and I'm speaking from my soul, because I just do the things that are most authentic to me, movement wise, artistically, and stuff like that. So always being in tune and in touch with what I'm feeling only further helps me convey what I want to say and make the things that are just inside of me something either tangible or something that someone can visualize and see. So it helps me also validate my feelings as well sometimes.
That's dope. Question: do you have both of you have one piece that you guys identify with the most?
That's a juicy question. Wow.
Because I know this guy, and he's a very, very emotional dancer, and I've seen him grow in different ways. That, you know what I mean? It's interesting that I don't know you very well, and I'm not very up to date with today's choreography world. So I literally very recently started studying your work, and I was just like an instant fan, by the way.
Thank you.
I understand where he gets his wisdom and his the reason why he brought you out, which is where I'm trying to get to. Like the main reason why he brought you out is because of that. You know what I mean? I know that he identifies that.
Yeah.
And that's something that for me is like I really would love to know. Like, do you have one in specific that you have favorites? Because I know that you have a lot of really good stuff. So think about yours.
Yeah, I'll go after you. That's a juicy one, though. That's really good.
Okay. I think.
Maybe let's start with this. Maybe this will help you. What's your most in tune emotion?
My most in tune.
Because emotional intelligence, right? Like we want to go with emotional intelligence. So I feel like maybe if you have, or not saying that you don't, but you have your emotional intelligence, where would you say that you're the strongest at? Makes sense?
I guess like I think that going back to like me answering the question of like what inspires me the most and saying pain, I felt like I for a while within my art was thriving in
That's
pain.
So honest, bro. I can feel that. Wow. So honest.
And so the things that I was creating were extremely raw, and I felt like, you know, it was what I was most proud of. But I'm kind of getting out of that place. Like I don't feel like I'm in that same space anymore, and that was also a fear of mine as well, because I was like, well, will I, you know, speak from a more honest and raw place if where I'm speaking from isn't like the depths of like my despair, you know? How can I convey like passion and love and light in a way that's just as like impactful? So I think that I'm in a new place right now, but I would have said pain maybe like 6-7 months ago. But I think that I feel the most strong and I feel the most in tune emotionally when I'm just like curious and asking questions, because there's just so much like I don't know.
That's so dope.
So yeah.
Maddie G.
So I'd say empathy. I would definitely say empathy. I think it's a lot of people come from,
and I can see that from your line of work, by the way.
Yeah, see, and it resonates, and it was just almost natural to let it out and express it into my pieces, and those are the ones that kind of like a lot of people enjoyed, because it was just kind of this straight from me. It was very genuine, and it was just me. It wasn't a copy of like anything else. It was just of myself, and being vulnerable, you already are in a vulnerable state when you're dancing in front of people,
For sure.
you know, and then on top of when people see, some people can see past it and say, oh, I think there might be a meaning to behind this
Right.
choreography, or you can kind of tell like the way they're expressing within their body. Maybe they're slouched a little bit, maybe in the emotions in the face, maybe they busted out crying. Like I've
Right.
seen that before too.
Yeah.
And then they really appreciate that because you are being vulnerable and you're being just you,
Yeah.
you know.
For sure.
So I would say empathy, yeah, because
Nice.
those, I feel like those people that have kind of gone through it, you know, maybe not the best upbringing, or they didn't have as much to them as like maybe their friend in school. Like they understand like some type of struggle, and you know, I didn't really want that for other people as much as I can help people. That's like something that I'm passionate about is helping people. So you know, just doing as much things for a bigger purpose, opposed to just like views or fans or something
Right.
like that. You know,
Right,
that
right,
comes
right.
with it, but
That's, like,
that's
fleeting.
not. Yeah, exactly. So, empathy.
Hey.
Answer.
Nice.
Final answer.
Super, super dope.
I hope that helped you pick your piece because.
I think, like, I think every time I create something new, like, it becomes closer and closer to who I am in that moment because
Wow,
I'm just
good.
constantly changing.
And we all
So I think what I think it feels like the closest to who I am in this moment is like it's one of my most recent pieces that I taught back home. And it's a Billie Eilish song. Like I don't even dance to Billie Eilish like that, but she has a newer song called My Future, and she talks about just like being in love with herself and her process and taking the time to just like be with herself rather than you know, pouring into another person. And that's where I'm at right now, just honoring myself and that being enough and that being okay.
Cool.
And so that's kind of where I was coming from in that dance. And so I think that just embodies where I'm at right now.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Wow.
With
Yeah.
With that being said, before you go, Matt, are you single?
I am.
Good to know. Continue.
I was gonna
Hey,
just.
the world needed to know.
Hey.
Okay. Nobody knows.
Hey.
Marlee Hightower, guys.
She's the best. Her.
I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. She's into herself right now. So, fellas, you better.
She's in her own
you
bag.
better, you know, you better work
She's in-
hard
Hey.
because
You're in her
Right.
own bag.
stakes are
Yeah.
high.
Right.
guy.
I know
Just
myself.
saying.
You gotta know
Exactly.
yourself,
That's dope.
okay?
Exactly. My point
That's
exactly.
dope.
I think
That's dope.
a lot of people are in the same boat with you, me included. I think that's why I had to ask the question because it's like it's a big mystery. A lot of people are now realizing that wait, who am I?
Right.
Quarantine hit and it was like wait, I don't have to go to the park or to
Right.
work, huh? I have to look in the mirror every day.
Right. You're like, I just have to sit with myself
Yeah.
and that's it. I can't
So-
distract myself
Yeah.
from. Yeah.
So it's a lot of that. But moving on, where's yours favorite?
You had a really great answer. I was expecting a specific piece, so I was like over here like calculating, like, oh, which one's my favorite piece
Right,
because
right.
of this. But you know what? I do remember that. I think you and I touched the same song. No, I do know. Sabrina Claudio, the Holding the Gun.
Oh, that's a good one.
We both touched that piece, and it's funny going back to when I created it. I was coming from a more like pain stage and sad stage kind of phase, and I guess now that I look at it, you can kind of really see that, opposed to something that I might be doing today. But that's just me like seeing my movements all the time. But I thought that was pretty cool that we touched the same song.
Right. I love Sabrina.
Yes.
That's a good one
dope.
too.
Yeah.
It's deep.
Right. But oh my gosh, I don't even really have a specific one. Really.
Is there one that you just feel like you felt like the most yourself?
Yeah. Well, there's a few of them, but it's when I can just express whatever is going on and whatever I'm feeling more so, whatever emotion that is, and then I'm able to channel that, whether it's through, obviously another artist like Sabrina. She gives me this like certain like area of emotion that if I'm feeling that way in the week, then in that kind of same realm or that kind of genre, that's where I can kind of amplify myself. So anywhere that I could just be very authentic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've caught myself like teaching to things that maybe the students wanted, or kind of like what is trending, and you know, you do that once in a while. But then I started finding, I was like, you know, I'm choreographing for someone that's not myself.
Right.
And then I found it that I was just throwing out moves.
Right.
And just throwing out a bunch of moves, and
Yeah.
then I wasn't happy, and then I was like, you know, I get requests, you know, from people like, okay, teach this. Can you teach this song? Can you teach this song? And then we really like this song. I think the students would really like this. And I'm like, that's great and cool, but I mean, when you start to kind of go away from yourself and like what you like and everything, then it starts to be this run-on thing, and then I start to feel,
what are you doing it for?
yeah, you know,
What are
and
you doing it
teachers, they give themselves a lot anyways, you know, they give themselves every week, daily, maybe if you're teaching, you know, and then what do you have left for yourself?
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
So that's,
Yeah.
So to answer that, I don't have an answer. It's lame.
That's cool.
But
that's fine.
yeah, I mean, I like the.
That is fine.
Yeah, I mean, I also like the most recent piece that I did, to Hit Different by SZA.
Super dope.
Yeah, you know, and a lot of people are doing it. I needed to hop on the track because
It's a good one.
yeah, it's dope, and so I
It
really
was
like
dope.
that one. I really like that one.
Hey,
But,
there we go.
you know, anywhere where I can be
Yeah.
expressive and authentic, 100%.
Right.
Marlee, how long have you been dancing?
I started dancing when I was 3, and I'm 20 now, so it's been 17 years.
We made this.
I
math.
know.
We
I was
got
like,
this math yesterday.
Hey.
Right.
Wait, sheet notes.
Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope.
So yeah, 17
years. Wow.
years. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. People would have like a doctor's already.
Right.
That's
dancing.
That's
Just
how the
making up
9 to 5
dances.
people have to start thinking about dancers though. Like I feel
I
like
know.
I feel like every person that works in a 9 to 5, like, you know, respiratory therapist, like nurse, whatever your field is, they need to understand, like, you know what I mean? It's a real career, guys.
Yeah.
Like this woman has a doctor's degree pretty much in dance. You know what I
Hey,
mean?
And
that's
the
what I'm gonna
beret.
start saying.
She
I got a
started-
doctor's degree in
Like,
dance.
yeah, you know what I mean? Think about it for a second and like let that sink in, because it's like, what does that mean in college?
Right.
You
Like,
spent
what school you go
17
to?
years in college.
School of life. Damn, that's crazy.
You
Yeah.
spent 17 years in college of life of dance, you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
And that's real. That's something that a lot of people don't consider, I feel like.
Yeah.
And that's really cool to like introduce something that you actually loved
Yeah,
at
yeah,
3
yeah.
years old. So
Mhm.
kudos for your parents for that, because
Thanks.
a lot of people just don't really know what to do with their kids sometimes. And
Right.
They're just like, okay, let me see if he wants to do this. Let me see if
Yeah.
he wants to. They found yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were like, I think she looks like she's gonna like this.
Yeah, that's really how it
Took
went.
off.
They were like, I think like she's got a rhythm. She's always like bopping around
That's
like
cool. That's really cool.
as a baby. So they just
Where
put
you
me in.
originally from?
Well, I was born in Bakersfield, California.
Bakersfield.
Um,
Let's go.
You made your way across.
Yeah,
country.
moved to Indiana when I was like a baby, and then moved to Florida when I was about 4.
Nice.
So yeah, my dad's side is in California. Mom's side is in Indiana. Why are we in Florida? Don't know.
Weather.
Right.
It's nice weather, I guess.
Yeah, just chilling.
But you
Just chilling
said-
in
At the
Orlando.
beach.
You said you actually, we talked about that. You said you like the winter, or I mean the cold.
I just prefer the cold.
Colder.
Yeah, I would say like fall is like ideal.
Fall.
I'm not a summer
Yeah,
person, especially
nice.
not in Florida.
Same
It's
seas.
horrible.
Especially not in Florida.
Yeah, it's
Imagine
just
coming
wet.
to Vegas. Vegas is like dry heat.
Dry heat.
It's
Yeah.
Oven.
ridiculously
That's what I said. I was
hot.
like, I feel like I'm baking here.
Oh my god! and like once you get out of the airport, that heat hits you, and it's like a whole different vibe.
Yeah, it's a different heat. But when you get, it's something about Florida's humidity where I'm like, I cannot breathe. So I don't know which one I prefer though. We were talking about
Interesting.
that. You can't breathe. It's just wet.
Huh.
It's
I haven't been to Florida in a while.
And it's sticky. Like
Yeah, it's just sticky.
I'm a sweater, so
Oh man,
it doesn't work. Like
the sticky doesn't work.
Weather, Florida.
Yeah,
Wow.
but I'm a cold person. I like the cold because you can bundle up and you can layer. Fashion-wise, I prefer the cold as well
Gotcha.
because you can.
You teach a lot in Florida.
I do. I own a studio in Orlando, and I teach twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you're ever in Orlando, Mode of dance, come through.
Definitely.
So yeah, I do teach a lot.
That's
Teach
super
a lot.
cool. That's really cool. Do you get a lot of industry people from like different, Disney and all this craziness?
I mean,
Universal.
yeah, I worked at Universal. I worked at Halloween Horror Nights, which is funny. I did like a
Nice.
dance show there. But yeah, I mean, we get all types of dancers. Like working at Disney or Universal is like something a lot of people do just for a job.
Right.
So
That's
yeah,
a must in the resume type of deal.
I mean, yeah, it's like if you're in Orlando, they're always looking for people. So I know a lot of people that have done a Universal
cool.
or Disney type of thing. But yeah, I mean, we get people from all over, like, and especially just what's going on right now, like, with everyone in quarantine, everyone moving back home, from being in like, a lot of entertainment heavy
Wow, yeah, so
places.
true.
They're moving back home, so a lot of people are coming to Florida just to dance, which has been really cool as well. So we're lucky enough to have a lot of people, and we're lucky enough to be open right now.
I was about to say they're lucky enough to have you guys. 'cause,
Yeah, yeah,
A lot
like-
of people are like shut down.
Yeah, so we're super fortunate.
That's cool. That's really cool. Thanks for doing that for the Florida community. Shout outs to the Florida dance community.
Yeah,
Definitely.
shout out.
A lot of big dope dancers out there.
Yeah, a lot of dope dancers came from Florida too.
Hell yeah.
So yeah.
Most definitely.
How was
a
it?
lot of them are out here too.
Mhm.
How was it when it was a hot spot over there? I remember Florida being like one of the hot spots, right?
Well, the thing was, it was a hot spot because no one was taking the proper precautions. So it's like, although it was a hot spot, nothing was really changing.
Yeah.
And that's why. So
That's why.
I mean, we tried our best to, stay indoors, stay safe, and even now that places are open, like especially at the studio, like we all wear masks. Like it's a big enough space to where we can distance from one another, sanitize, do what we can. But yeah, try to stay indoors for as long as we could. I don't know. Nothing's really changed in Florida, and I think that's the problem.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the problem. So, yeah, but it's been crazy. We initially had a smaller space, and because of COVID, we were like, there's no way we can even open our doors safely anytime soon. So we relocated, and so it's been really beneficial for us.
Got you. But you guys were smart enough to make the move before you had to like, oh wait.
Yeah, had
shutting
to
us
think
down
fast.
again.
Yeah, had to think fast.
That's a business move right there in itself, because
Mhm.
a lot of people just try to, lift the carpet and put the dirt on there.
Mhm,
And you
mhm,
guys just, nah, let's just vacuum this.
Had to be vigilant.
My analogies. I'm sorry, guys.
Hey, I'm for the analogies. Paint the picture.
I'm a very visual person, so I guess I just see it all like that.
Right, I got you.
It's understandable though.
Yeah. I'm really glad that like we're able to kind of join communities, even if it's like a bridge with one person from a community with us, and that's pretty much what this is all about. I usually explain like what that symbol means, but pretty much it's about bridging the gaps and everything.
Right.
So yeah, we're really glad that you're able to just be here on your last day here
Yeah.
with us, and
Yeah,
Be
I'm
able
glad
to-
to be here.
to mix to
Spread
and to
them
mix
over.
communities, because it's very like throughout the year everything was feeling like really heavy, and just like physically it would like
Yeah, very heavy.
it would just be on everybody's mind, and it was kind of hard to be like on the phone even at all,
For sure.
like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But it was another thing too that I would use it as an inspirational tool. Like if I could still be like something, even with the event last night, that's what it was really down to be, is to be that hope, that maybe that light to show like, hey, we're still here, like where there's still love here, and there's still genuine people, and you don't have to always be afraid, to open up and everything, because again, it's been heavy, and that's something that everybody knows. It's
Yeah.
nothing that's avoidable, really. Like
Absolutely not.
whether it's what we've been talking about every time with the pandemic, with the virus. You talk about other things that go on even within our dance world.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've seen
Yeah.
so many heavy things. Oh my goodness, like
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
just from topics like like abuse and abuse of power, just things like that. Oh my gosh, even more heavy things. Like there's so many where I'm just like, where to start? I don't even know like where to begin with that. You know?
Yeah, it's crazy. Tensions are so high.
A crazy place right now.
For sure. It's like, it's interesting because, yeah, outside of just the dance community, there's so much happening. But then within the dance community, it's its own monster as well. And I talk to my friends and anybody who really brings it up, and I'm just like, it's definitely been heavy seeing, you know, a lot of our peers and the people that we look up to, their whole, you know, name being, you know, taken down given like their actions. And but it is also interesting because I feel like it's a cleanse in a way. It's holding people accountable. It's normalizing calling that behavior out. And I think also it's making room for, you know, new leaders and new voices who, you know, lead with pure intentions. And I think that that's really important in our field and in any like artistic field.
A lot of people I think a lot of people in our field though got, you know, the bad aftermath of that.
Oh
so,
yeah.
So I'm happy that now, because I come from a different generation that like, you know what I mean, I feel like maybe more impacted by it, but it was more in the silent time because it was a different time. Now, like you said, it's being normal to call that behavior out.
Yeah.
Like, dude, stop doing that. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not a bad thing.
Yeah,
anymore.
no.
You know what I mean? You won't be like, well, she's not gonna get booked anymore.
Right.
It used to be like that. You know what I mean? And that's just a sad reality. And it shouldn't be like that.
No.
Yeah.
Because it's just something that should be like, especially with the talent that's growing nowadays. Like, man, there's so much young talent growing up nowadays that we should be on top of every single little thing that goes on in our kids, you know, surroundings when it comes to that because of this type of situation. And shout outs to all those parents that are like on it, you know, because like
that's
a lot
important.
of these parents, like their kids got like IGs and all that stuff, but at the same time they keep touch of their IGs.
It's really
It's
important.
not like they have full access to it, or like they probably have an age range, and you know, social media does its job on that sense too. But it's very important for the parent itself to even care, because if you don't care, if you're just like out and about and your kid's like on IG wondering, and what is that kid looking at?
Yeah.
You know, that's where you know.
Yeah. There's some
gotta wonder.
weirdos. Like there's
Oh,
just
yeah.
weirdos. And there's and you have to protect like young and impressionable minds, like, because when you're young, that's when you're taking life in, and it's when you get older that you have to unlearn like what the way the world happened to you, and
Right. That's wow.
It's
you just
so
said something
it's
so
super
crucial.
important.
When you get older, wow, that hit me hard. When you get older, no, because I identify with it.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
When you get older, you have to unlearn, and it's so hard to unlearn what you already know.
Yeah.
I learned this when I went to college for culinary. Like my chef used to tell me, you cannot unknow what you know. And she used to tell me this because of like, you know, the kitchen environment. If you like make a cross contamination with chicken and lettuce and all this and that, it's like, that's crazy. And that always stuck with me. Same thing.
Yeah.
You have to unlearn something that you grew up believing.
Yeah.
That's insanely hard. So it's like, whoa.
That's why the formative years are so important.
Yeah.
Like that's why young people's voices are so important. Hearing them and acknowledging how valid they are,
So dope.
because it determines how you lead your life.
Yeah.
So dope. That
So-
was dope.
So easy. I felt like it from what I was seeing a lot. It's easy to you can teach a kid, you know, because they're like a sponge. They take in, they absorb in everything, you know. And coming from my own experience, I still remember the bad things that happened. Those still stick out, even if it happened to me as a kid. Like they still stick out and they stay with me, you know, for even till now,
days, yeah.
even till
Yeah.
the present day. It's still stuck with me.
Right,
And
so you don't forget them. You just
right, you don't
learn to
forget.
deal with them.
yeah, and then you, again, like you were saying, you touched on that, you unlearn it, you unlearn things, you know, and you got to be able to let things come in again
Yeah.
as knowledge, you know, to keep building yourself up still, you know, growing as an adult. You're
Yeah.
going through phases and stuff, and it's just so important. And that's why it was amazing to see all those. There was a lot of younger
Young
talent there.
Yeah,
It's a lot of younger talent yesterday, you know, and I don't know. It's just the connection. You said that you teach kids,
I
you
do
know,
teach
yeah,
kids a
and
lot,
then you connect with the parents, and it's just one of those. It's another thing too that they trust you, you know, and
Yeah.
I don't. I'm just maybe
The
this just
parents
comes from a
trusting you,
good.
true is
Yeah.
a big deal. You know, parents that are so involved, and sometimes you see there's two different type of parents, and it's sad but true because there's the parent that's like very involved and wants their kid to like really be there because they want them to grow in the industry and they want them like to see if they like this or not and stuff like that. But there's also the parent that's sadly just throwing their kid in a class because they just want them to do something type of deal. And you gotta watch out for that kid because that kid will appreciate this class more than the kid that wants to be there, but it's parents pushing them to do a lot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, I say that because I identify because I come from a different type of environment where I wanted to be in the class. You know what I mean? I had to look for it to get to the class. And there was kids that were just there because, you know, and they were there every day just like me, but they were like, you know, playing
There's
around
less
and
of
stuff
a
like
fight.
that.
Yeah,
And for me, I was just like, okay, what's next? What's next? What's
yeah,
next?
yeah, yeah.
And you can tell that in the classroom too, you know, with those kids, like they're always like, okay, let me just stay quiet.
Yeah.
'Cause they're always so focused and stuff like that. I saw a little bit of the footage on Experience, and all those kids were like, whoa.
Yeah, they were great.
They're great.
They were in it.
This future industry is gonna be crazy talented. Like kids are like throwing flips at like 8, 9, 10, you know, like nothing, and it's like their choreography levels like at an adult level at that age. Like I don't even understand how that happens sometimes because their bodies are so tiny. How do you understand?
Like how do you have understanding for your body in that
so,
way,
you know,
in such a mature way?
in such a mature way.
Yeah.
Even little girls moving the way they move sometimes. It's like you understand your body so well. Sometimes women don't understand their bodies that way. Like shaking their hips one way and their chest the same way, but keeping the center and all these things. And it's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
That's insane. Same with a kid breaking and doing head spins at like 8, you know?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's a lot. These kids are being, you know, androids right now, man. Like,
yeah, I started when I was really young, so I just resonate with like just like being around adults and training amongst adults and having to be professional and be mature like in those spaces.
That's cool.
But also I think, you know, kids still need to be allowed to be kids, you know, but you don't have to speak to a kid like they're a child, you know, because
Agreed.
kids,
they
know.
They
know what's good.
They know.
Yeah.
That's crazy because you say that, and I think that's where the whole like song editing thing comes into play.
I mean, yeah,
'Cause
there's
it's
levels
silly
to it.
sometimes. There's levels to
There's
it.
levels.
But at the same time, it's so silly because again, the levels include the picky parent and the parent that doesn't really care.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
it's you got both in the classroom
right.
at the end of the class, and all of a sudden the song's like saying something really dirty, but you have it edited, but you know what it's saying when it's saying drop that in the air, and it's just, like you just don't care, and it's like wait, and the parents like,
Right.
but the
Gotta-
kid's going
yeah.
hard.
You gotta
though.
check in with the parents.
You know,
I was
That's so
teaching.
very
I was teaching
crucial.
yesterday, and I was like, parents, you know, because there was like some cuss words. It wasn't like too vulgar or anything, but they're like, it's fine. One mom was like, they dance to WAP. It's like,
my
oh,
point
we're
exactly.
not
That was
dancing
the
to
song that I was referencing when I was talking about this music, because it's like there's no edit on TikTok. So from the top, make it like it's
intense.
full on, you
Intensity.
know. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's just like I think my upbringing, and I think this helped me a lot, is that my parents didn't shelter me from those things. It's more so
And that's the best.
they just taught me, you know, what was right, what was wrong, and even them, they'd be like, okay, I'm gonna do this, but don't do it. So yeah, just maintaining perspective and knowing that these things exist, because we're gonna find out anyways, and maybe from the wrong like sources.
Yep.
So it's nice to just have perspective and
I
not
think
be
that's
completely sheltered.
factual.
Yeah. So
That's
my
being
parents
normalized.
always right. My parents were always like, "You can hear it, just don't say it." You know. And I'm like, okay, word,
That's
word,
dope.
word.
That's dope. But I think that's how reggaeton started for
Mm.
me in Puerto Rico. It's like
Mm.
so, like the songs are dirty.
Uh-huh.
So it was like, okay, yeah, you know what this means, so let me catch you saying it.
Right.
Dale, papi, está bien.
Uh.
Okay, papi, bendición.
Right.
Quiet.
No.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
So, I mean, kind of just going back into, speaking up about, protecting the kids and everything, and even like further than that, like past that, speaking up.
Mhm.
It's a really vital thing, and
Yeah.
use social media.
Yeah.
I always call it a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
It
For
could be
sure.
used in really great ways. Because I actually watched The Social Dilemma last night after
Ah.
we talked about it at dinner,
Yeah.
right, with everybody, and I was like, okay,
Mhm.
I gotta watch it.
Still haven't watched it.
Yeah, so I checked it out, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, gives you another like
Perspective.
in on it. Like we all kind of like knew some of the things that it came with already. People say like, oh, they're always like listening to us. They watch what we do. They monitor it. We already like threw that around, but then they go in depth with it a little bit
Yeah.
more, and then more and more and more.
Yeah.
So, and I also had seen, it was interesting to me because when I am supportive of people coming out and like,
Mhm.
saying what they have to say, and because we didn't have that tool before, maybe we didn't have that freedom. Like you said, back in the day, it was kind of like, okay, you're blacklisted from this job, or you won't get this, and then you're like, okay, well, I don't want to not book a job, so they kind of like, sadly go with it. But now they can speak up. But then there's the counter argument that I had seen too, where they called this a hashtag Me Too, like Me Too movement, like hashtag Me Too. Okay, oh, yeah, well, Me Too. This happened to me. Oh, Me Too. I mean, that was just thrown out there, as well. How do you see anything with that? Have you ever even heard about that?
The Me Too movement? I mean,
Yeah,
I remember that became like a big thing within the entertainment industry, like acting wise, and a lot of I feel like that was the catalyst for a lot of people like normalizing speaking out. And that's just when you got to see like how prevalent it was in the industry, and now it happening within the dance community. Like I think a lot of good has come from it. But yeah, I think it's really important to speak out and normalize speaking out, just because like we said earlier, like taking accountability, and these people taking accountability for their actions. Like nobody should be moving funny. Like just don't do it.
Factual.
Yes, absolutely.
Call them out, guys.
Yeah, when we see these things, and from people that we put on a pedestal for so long, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
and then you get confused. Like I don't know how to take it at first.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when you like you said, you put people on a pedestal, like you idolize these people, and then you hear, they've done this or they've done that, it starts to it's like your whole world kind of shifts. But I think that we always have to like maintain perspective that these people are human, and they can do inhumane things, and there's levels to separating like the art from the artist. But I think that like if they move funny, or like they do things that go against like my moral compass, like I'm not interested.
And on that note, that's really good, because calling it out and normalizing calling it out will prevent that person from even permitting it himself or herself
Absolutely.
from doing the action.
Yeah, you should.
Because the fact that you called it out changes that person's
right
mindset in that second.
If
You
there's
see?
if there's leniency,
because that person might like think about it for a second. That person might be like, what if I don't do it? But let me take a chance, and goes and does something, says something, and if that's caught in the action in the moment, that shifts the action or the intention, rather than if it wasn't caught and if it was permitted at the moment. And that continues on. It goes a different route. But guys, on another note, I wanted to ask you because I was trying to ask this to her because I feel like we're on the next experience. We had Dario and we had you last time.
Mm-hmm.
On the next experience, we were talking about having some freestyle type of thing too.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious to like, um, how do you feel about that type of movement? Like, do you freestyle? Because I saw that video and I was like, yo, she's so dope with it. Like, hold on, that's a feel. That's
Thanks.
not even.
Thank you.
She's not choreographing there, and like people are like, no, she's a choreographer. Is she really? Like I just feel like you have a beautiful movement.
Thank
So
you.
how do you feel about freestyle? Do you practice your own freestyle? Do you have a special maybe style that you practice in specific? Like I don't know, maybe you like popping, locking, tugging,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Well, for like freestyle is definitely something that I've been practicing a lot more the past couple years. And it goes hand in hand, I think, like with just being authentic and being honest. I feel the most connected to what I'm doing freestyle wise if I'm just like speaking from the soul or whatever. And there are techniques that I want to acquire and attain to be able to then speak my truth even more. I was lucky enough to like train in fundamentals growing up, so a lot of the things I do, like I have popping influences, even a little bit of housing and stuff like that. But being able to be in touch with my body as much as I can and aware of my body only helps me like convey what I really want to say.
Beautiful.
Because, being able to like speak and maybe tell a specific story if I'm coming from a place of pain, like what would that actually look like? And how could I actually like really, really embody that? And that comes with like, a level of control of my body, knowing how to isolate certain things. And so the training is only to be able to be more and more honest. Yeah.
That's dope.
So-
Much respect to that. You said popping, you trained in popping? That's dope.
Yeah. I grew up like, I think I was lucky enough to like grow up learning like all the fundamentals, like locking, whacking, house popping.
From like family, or was it just
I was in a crew, like I was in a mega crew, and
Nice.
I stopped really doing like the studio bunhead thing when I was like really young, and I got
Gotcha.
into a crew when I was 7 or 8.
nice?
And our director, she was just like well versed in the fundamentals, so it was
That's
really
so
important for us to have that. And so then over time being able to learn and take from. And
Any footage out on YouTube about that?
Oh man, probably. I don't even
We just
know.
found some old footage.
I have some old stuff on
B-boy Tanessa in
YouTube.
here. Maybe
When-
we could find some old.
I
When
have
was
old
that?
stuff.
When was that? Because I remember the first time I had ever seen you was in the Ian Eastwood class and Brian Puspos. When was that like time? Was that past after
Yeah, that was after. That was when I was like about 11.
11?
Yeah, that's when I was really like going to a lot of conventions and
Yeah.
workshops and stuff like that. Yeah, so I was about
What?
11
I
there.
remember that.
That's when I started doing like World of Dance a lot
Yeah.
and stuff.
The big curly poofy hair, right?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So the convert. Yeah, that was you then.
Yep, that was me. The
Nice.
poof.
So cool.
Awesome. What? Wow. And then so from there, where did that progressed into? So like at 11 years old, you were taking all these classes, you're doing all the workshops and stuff, and then when did you start? When did you make your way to Florida? Right?
I was in Florida. I moved
Already.
to Florida when I was 4.
Okay.
So I'd been there,
Yeah.
from the jump. But yeah, I started like traveling and stuff like that, taking class, stepping out when I was like about 11, just going to like conventions and stuff. Yeah, but I was in Florida. I was Florida based, and then I started like I was bi-coastal for a while, going to LA to Florida when I was
see.
about like 13, 14, 15.
That's dope.
Yeah,
I see.
Like coastal.
bi-coastal.
Any people you enjoyed like really working with?
Over the years.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
That's a good question.
Nobody will get offended because you don't mention them.
I mean, I guess like my inspirations and stuff like have always evolved. But I think like one of the more pivotal moments for me was being able to do. There's this thing called the Monster Show.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Monsters Dance Convention.
yeah.
So I did that when I was 17, and at the time, like I was really uninspired dance-wise. Like I was just not. I just didn't have like the drive that I used to. I didn't like it the same way. And I remember getting to do that and work so intimately with choreographers that I loved. And, Lyle Benigo was one, like,
Yes.
and he's one of my tops. And so, yeah, being able to just work so closely with people that I admired so deeply, and it be such a welcoming and like inspiring environment, like something super chill, yet the level that was asked of you, it was just kind of like a given. It was like, you guys are all on a level. We don't have to push you to just strive for greatness, and that was really nice to be around. So I would say doing the Monster Show was like my like a really big turning point for
Pivotal
me.
moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's really
And just
beautiful.
regaining that inspiration as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a dope moment right there, because your career could have went anywhere at that point.
Right. It was kind of like, what do I do?
Everybody's got to put that in the
Yeah, what
second
do we
of
do?
perspective. Like your career right there in that moment,
Yeah.
you could have just quit, you know what I
Right.
mean? But it wasn't, So
Right.
shout outs to all those people that kept it alive.
Right.
I know, shout outs to this guy, because he's done that for me so many times, dude. Like, I come from a different type of generation and stuff like that. So this guy's definitely done that for me a lot. So
Yeah.
yeah.
How
that's
was World of Dance?
World of Dance, like performing and stuff like that?
Yeah, or just like
It
the
was
whole
cool.
process of it.
It was interesting because I started doing it at such a young age, and to be honest with you, like, it's only within these past couple years that I've really been confident in what I'm doing and what I'm saying as an artist. So doing like solos and performing at such a young age, I was so unsure, and I'm always like unsure to a degree because we're all like winging it. But when I was younger, I would get really, really like super, super nervous because it was my choreo. Like I was presenting myself, and I had to, have a level of confidence and stage presence as just a performer. And that's hard to do sometimes when you're not even like sure of what it is that you're doing. And so there was good to it and there was bad to it. I think I'm really thankful for that time period, just because I was so young, and I think people received me well, but and I learned a lot about myself. But yeah, there was pros and cons to it. It was interesting, but I was thankful to be doing World of Dance at the time that like it was really poppin'. Like it's like when Most Wanted, Most Wanted, and Chachi, and so it was at a good time period in the community.
Yeah, that's my squad right there.
Yeah. So it was fun. I learned a lot, but it feels like a lifetime ago.
Right.
Yeah, it was a minute ago though.
Yeah, for sure.
You were on season 6 with them, right? ABDC.
Really?
Yeah, 787 crew.
Hey,
Yeah.
okay,
You
so
probably
homies,
remember.
you guys are homies.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
sick.
Yes.
Dang.
We were like that full Puerto Rican crew.
Yeah.
With the green.
Mhm.
With all the flips and the
Yeah.
crazy
Definitely.
hairstyles.
I was watching. That's so cool.
But yeah, definitely shout outs to Most Wanted.
Mhm.
Definitely shout outs to IME.
Mhm.
Big inspiration. It's crazy because even before I was there and I met them, like I was already a fan.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden we were in the same show. It's like,
Right.
and even Tight Eyes and all of them, like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
it's
I was
really
the
cool.
same. Like I looked up to them, and then I was like to get to perform like on the same stage. I was like,
Right.
Yeah.
It's always an honor, man. It's like, just like being here, man. Marlee Hightower, yo. Come on. Come on, you doing your thing right now, bro. Humbleness is appreciated, but sometimes it's okay to be like,
right.
appreciate you.
I'm doing it. Yeah,
You're
I'm
doing
all
it.
about
You're
it.
doing your
I'm all
thing.
about
So
that.
much respect to that.
Thank you.
Anything else we want to add, guys? We're running a little short on time.
You know what? I just got to say the story that I always tell him. I caught. It was back when I still lived in Illinois, and he was on TV, and then they did this transporting flip thing for their challenge, and like my friends and I were trying to copy that.
Nice.
But I didn't even know who the guy was yet, and I was copying him off of TV.
Right.
And the next thing we know, right here, he's sitting
Yo,
right here.
Full circle.
What full circle, right? Crazy.
So dope.
Experience.
So
Boop.
dope.
Life.
Experience. the link right
Crazy,
there.
right?
That's crazy,
Yeah.
though. It's insane. Like, who would have thought? You know,
Yeah.
Oh,
who would have
man.
thought? That's what I wanted to say.
Who would have taught Marlee?
Who would have thought?
That's
Who would have
That's
thought?
dope. But
Yeah.
hey, Marlee,
We
thank you so much
appreciate
for
it.
being here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me, Matthew. Thank you
Yes,
for
sir.
throwing this experience, Dance LV.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is crazy, man.
Oh, you know.
Loving
Hey.
the scene, loving the game, bro. So much respect.
Yo,
Yeah.
thank you for having me.
It
What
was
we can
dope.
do here is beautiful. You know, be able to connect all the time. So that's what we do here. So,
Hey,
yeah, appreciate it.
That's crazy dope.
thank you.
Thank you.
Aye, aye.
I think that would be it.
I had my timer. We're at 50.
Dope.
Nice.